I finally created an Instagram account in March of 2023 after about a year or two of constant nudging by my friends to make one. During this 1 year period between March of 2023 and March of 2024, I found myself navigating through a couple of talking stages, all of which failed, by the way. Mindless reel scrolling, minor FOMOs, distraction, and whatnot. Eventually, feeling sick and overwhelmed by all of it, I decided to deactivate my account on 1st of last month, which was April, and take a break. Now, no, I did not deactivate my account so that I could give this solid opening for my talk. And no, I'm not over here to ramble about how bad social media is and how everyone should stop using it. I'm over here to talk about relationship between innovation, social media algorithms, and well-being. Starting with innovation, to all the people listening to me, I would like you to take some time and think about the term innovation. Go ahead. Now, please raise your hands if you thought about groundbreaking discovery, AI, or some revolutionary idea or technology. Great. So whenever we think about innovation, we tend to think about things which has had or will have positive, meaningful, and perhaps major impact on our lives. And this notion of ours somewhat fails when it comes to innovation in social media. Crudely speaking, innovation over here generally means creating algorithms and AI models which maximizes the amount of time a user spends on the social media app. With millions of users on various social media platforms, social media companies see a need to create a pull effect to ensure that users remain engaged on their platform. So, imagine yourself, or rather your attention, in this constant tug of war between social media companies, each trying their level best to pull your attention towards their side of court by serving you with content which is not only highly personalized, but also highly addictive. This is in fact the central idea of something called attention economy. Social media platforms or apps are not free services. We pay them in terms of our attention. These companies commoditize human attention to make billions of dollars every year. They grab our attention, then make sure we spend as much of our time possible using their potent algorithms, which ultimately increases the revenue they generate through advertising. Finally, we can bring well-being into the picture. Excessive use of social media is directly related to degradation of our mental health and well-being, as it leads to increased level of stress, anxiety, FOMO, inferiority complex, depression. We all know this. Further, with rapid development of immersive experience technology, combined with ever earlier exposure of social media to kids, things are going to go downhill real quick if we don't buckle up, as the social media experience is simply going to get more addictive from here. So you may ask, what is the solution? What is the way out of this, given the fact that there is an undeniable negative impact of social media innovation on our well-being? Well, our very first optimistic bet could be that these companies, A, invest their time and money in developing algorithms which prioritizes user well-being over personalization of content, and B, they shift their focus from personalization to customization of content. You see, rather than personalization of content which is done for the users by these platforms, more weight needs to be added to customization of content which is done by the users so that they are the ones in charge of their social media experience. Let us understand this by an example from my own personal experience. So, to the audience once again, please raise your hands if you have an alternate social media account for your close friends. Few of them. So to get straight to the point, I too had an alternate social media account for my close friends, and its feed was much depressing and gloomier than the main one. I must have liked a couple of depressing or sad stuff when I was feeling low, and then it just kept on recommending me and bombarding me with content along those lines, thanks to personalization, which ultimately took a toll on me. Now, you may argue that it's a me problem. However, there have been cases of suicides among teenagers due to social media recommendations pushing them over line to take such disastrous steps. And thus, by shifting focus from personalization to customization, we could limit the exposure of distracting and distressing content to the users, which would ultimately improve their well-being. Seems pretty straightforward, but let's get real. Expecting these companies to invest their time and money so that we spend less time on their platforms is not the wisest thing to do, as their business model requires us to devote our attention towards them. And thus, some individuals believe that there is a need of government or state intervention to drive innovation in social media well-being. This is because regulatory measures by state could ensure that if a social media platform wants to operate within their country, they need to follow some basic guidelines which prioritizes user well-being over user engagement. However, many are against government stepping into this issue as they believe that government might use their power to control social media content and thus influence the public discourse. Many even attribute this entire problem of negative impact of social media on teenagers' well-being to parents for granting their children unrestricted access to internet at such a young age, and that they are the ones who should be figuring out the solution to this mess. We could go on debating who is to be blamed for this massive societal problem. We could go on hoping that these platforms prioritize our well-being for greater good, or we could go on expecting the government to come and save us from these attention-seeking social media platforms. In the end, it's just us and these ropes of social media platforms pulling our attention towards them, and while we wait over here for someone to come and save us, it might be too late. There is a need to realize the fact that while social media helps us stay connected and updated with friends, news, events, etc., that while they are working extremely hard to improve their privacy and safety features, they are also working extremely hard to make sure we spend as much as of our time possible. There is a race to grab our attention for the longest time possible, which is negatively impacting our well-being. Just realizing this fact, being conscious about this fact every time you scroll through social media, discussing this fact among your friend circle, and creating your own micro-solutions to combat this will ultimately help us improve your and our well-being collectively. So for example, next time you want to reach out to your friend, try doing it on an instant messaging app rather than Instagram or Snapchat to avoid burning 30 minutes of your life, or to avoid potentially triggering a FOMO, or to avoid getting into a talking stage which is not going to get you anywhere. Thank you.